Silence. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, simps, virgins, and also vegans. And welcome back to
This
Krown's...
is the Jedi Temple.
No, it's not.
But we've been training.
No, we haven't. For dancing cave!
God damn it. What was that? Came out of nowhere right there. Oh, I ruined it. You ruined it. Ruined what? A pile of shit and piss? I think not. Anyways, plenty... Plenty to talk about today as Bitcoin seemingly puts in its first attempts at a bit of a local low here, and I kind of want to follow up on the last few days of analysis, obviously tying all of the time frames in together with each other. But before that, I need to take a few more sippy sips of this caffeine over here. I want to welcome everyone into the stream right now. I see a lot of people, a lot of familiar faces as always. Mr. Alex Switch, holy shit, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to fucking see you, man. I know it's early as all hell for you over there, but it's good to see your Greek face. Maybe I shouldn't dox your location, but it's a big country, man. It's a big country. Anyways, what's up, Nikki Page? Our lovely moderator crew is rolling here strong. Randy Fox, there he is. Even Elsa's here as well, which is kind of cool, I guess. Willis, what's up, man? Nice Mimi in the God damn it. Nice Mimi, sir. What the fuck was this? Hold on. Check this out. I jump into the memes section of the Discord and I'm greeted with this. What the fuck, man? Looks good, dude. Looks good indeed. Now I can get an insight as to what I'll look like with a full head of hair right there, man. Anyways, no, it looks good though. I'll take it. It looks like I have some sort of animal hair. What the fuck? What are you talking about? What does that even mean? Like an armadillo? Also, I hear it's word on the street right now that Bitcoin seems to be getting very frisky at support, as it so is said. Anyways, yeah, we actually do have a lot of things to be speaking about today. So I do want to wish everyone a nice and healthy and happy start to this nice Wednesday morning over here. We're halfway through the week. Doesn't mean shit though, man, because this marks 24/7 and realistically, today's probably likely to be boring, to be quite honest with you. But I do believe that we do have a big setup probably for the next 5 to 10 days to come. And a lot of hearts will probably be broken during that time as well, both the upside and the downside as well. What's up, Mr. Edwin's Generation? I see you. Bitcoin diddling that support. Diddling frisky. Holy shit, man. We're getting a little bit too nasty on the price section right now. R.I.P. Scott Barney, says Mr. Amadeus Yana. Yeah, man. Haven't seen him for a while. I think maybe I spoke a little bit too much shit about his lovely, highly esteemed altcoins and OTC, majorly amazing trading stocks. Well, fair enough, man. It's not gonna be for everyone, obviously. Anyways, Jesus Christ, man. Actually, a lot of people in here for a rather quiet day in the last 24 hours, to be quite fair. You know, that CPI print came out and Bitcoin got that initial move to the upside. I was actually pretty much, basically around that time, I was on Scott Milker's channel from yesterday. If anyone wants to tune into that, did a little bit of an interview there, just very, very short and sweet, but really, really cool. And just like a nice and chill and easy to talk to guy. And I think that CPI print came out like right before then. And so we just kind of got on immediately as that price action started to kind of evolve. And it's like, it's probably the high of the day. Well, it looks like it was the high of the day, but today's a new day, so we can talk about new things very likely to come. Anyways, I got a shit ton of caffeine. Well, it is caffeine, I guess, but a shit ton of coffee over here, so need to take a few more sippy sips of this in the meantime. I should probably do the old shills right now. Do the old like and derp. I have like notes over here so that I can actually remember to say, because it actually really does make a difference for the liking on the videos. Now, of course, you know, don't do it unless you actually want to, of course. And, you know, maybe don't do it, says Elsa. Don't do it. But, you know, if you do want to give some back to the channel, it's a nice and easy and costless way also to do it as well. Also got the old Bybit show there as well. Of course, they do offer like $3,000 or $4,000 deposit bonus. As always, man, you know, they're offering that to you because you're likely to get wrecked there and pay them money. But at least they give you a deposit bonus in the meantime. And more importantly, you know, obviously, like, unless you actually have like a winning strategy, not very wise to be getting into these sort of leverage exchange. Although they do have a testnet, feature, which I'm very much proponent of. So if you are newer, that would be a really, really good thing to be doing. Other than that, need to take a few more sippy sips of this and we'll get right into it. You can do it. Yes, indeed, man. Do it. Hit the derpy like. Hit the old derpy like. What's up, Charles Fox? What's up, man? Good to see you, brother. I see a lot of When I see a lot of people, oh yeah. Oh, also I have to talk about Instagram as well. As always on Instagram, or not as always, but definitely in like the last few months, there's just been like an unending supply of these scammer impersonators there. I'm never gonna message you to like trade a secret account or like have a secret Telegram group or anything like that. I even operate on Telegram for what it's worth. So I can assure you that if someone is messaging you there with a similar name to mine, but it's not quite literally the account in the link description that you see below, it's not me. Probably a scammer, probably gonna end in tears. So if you are interested in my, rather mundane life, there is a link in the description below. But any other account other than that one is not fucking me, man. Not me. So please do be careful with that. The good thing is that these impersonators, these imposters, like they go for the lowest hanging fruit. So I think it should be as obvious as possible to people out there who are like not super new to the internet. But you know what? You never know who's listening. So just want to save a few potential tears, unless in case if something were to happen to that. I mean, these scammers have gotten so sophisticated that they aren't just doing it on like Twitter and Instagram now. What they're doing is they're creating email accounts that are kind of similar to mine, but at like Gmail. So it'll be like Eric at Krown Trading, or sorry, it'll be Eric Krown Trading or Eric Krown, and then at gmail.com, right? And then they'll go and message like shitcoin projects and be like, hey, I have this channel here. We can do an advertisement for you for X amount of dollars. And they've actually gotten a few of these shitcoin projects to do it. And then they email me like my real account, and they're like, hey man, we paid you and you haven't put up a video. I'm like, I think you got scammed. But you kind of, it's kind of like what goes around comes around. Obviously I shouldn't say that because I don't know for sure that these projects are scams or not, but they seem a little bit questionable, like in cryptocurrency land. Assume scam first, assume scam. And then if it proves itself, over a few years, then all good, perhaps. Then again, I'm not the person to be listened to for that, because you'll probably miss out on like some of the 100 or 1000 or 1 million X's projects. But you also avoid the 99% of complete and utter garbage that is usually clogging up this market. Hey, what's up, Sinegra? Yeah, man, we can look at Dixie. Thank you for reminding me. I should definitely do that today. Let me actually make a note of it over here. We'll put it at the end. I think that would actually be rather interesting. Actually, no. We should put it in the beginning here. The reason being because it does play into the analysis, or at least I would assume. I haven't looked at it this morning. Elsa's a farmer now. Elsa wants everyone to know that she's farming. She's a farmer now. Farmer Elsa has taken her plums down to the farmer's market, and they're growing a bluish hue, and she's ready to, I guess, she's not actually farming. She's staking is what she's doing. And then also Elsa is now an options trader, a very prolific options trader as well. She had a very good first trade, so that's cool. Yeah, she's actually been using this this DeFi options platform called Ribbon, where you can basically sell out the money calls and out the money puts, and well, then you still have to cover your position. Obviously, that gives you no real protection on any sort of major moves, but can be a little fun endeavor. Anyways, you need to change your picture to a farmer, says Nikki Page. You do. What is this nonsense over here? You look like a youngin with a hip youngin. Like what is this? We are farmers now. BBG asked me to ask Elsa whether she knows how to milk cows. Elsa is from the forest, but in Finland, like, they don't have animals there. They just have trees and snow, basically. It's like there's like nothing there, really. It's literally in the middle of fucking nowhere where she grew up. It's actually insane. Trading for her Chanel goals. Oh dear Lord, man. Yeah, these fucking bags, man, they're out of control. Like, as a guy, obviously you're not that interested in the bags, but what I am interested in is like how they can make a whole worldwide web of girls like fiend for these bags, like a fucking bag that costs $5,000. It's like, what is this? I have a plastic bag over here. It does the job pretty damn well. You can get a new one every day too. It's insane. It's 23 cents here. Anyways, I'm just gonna take a few more sippy sips of this, and then we'll get right into the content of the day. I do have a shit ton of coffee left, so we'll have to save some for a little bit later, I think. Russia is about to invade Finland. Yeah, apparently they're at the border right now, but I think it's kind of a nuanced thing, because also NATO is doing some like exercises with their naval ships in the Baltic Sea here, so kind of makes sense. But yeah, it's not the most comforting thing of all time, but well, guess I'll start practicing Russian, huh? $5,000. That's cheap, says Xena. Yeah, I've seen like there's this one brand where I saw them go up to like $50,000 for a fucking bag, or like even $100,000. It's just insane. It's just like an exhibition of wealth and power, basically. Anyways, one more sippy sip of here. Elsa says, God, you're such a boomer. Anyways, here we go. Starting off with Bitcoin right here. I want to follow up on the last few days, this thread of analysis that we've been essentially going off of which we have basically hit our downside targets off of the break of $44,500 right here. Looking at some sort of a move down to about 38 to 39,000 bucks. We've gotten that at a low of yesterday, tested twice at about 39,200 or so. And for right now, I do think that we're very likely looking at a bounce in the interim. The reason why is, as we kind of highlighted yesterday, the 4-hour BBWP is finally starting to go into a contraction phase. This is kind of what I was waiting for right here, specifically below the moving average, as you can see on this particular chart. And now I do look at this as likely corrective move incoming. Now, again, do not confuse corrective move with a reversal. I think that Bitcoin is very far from a reversal right here, but it can trade a bit more sideways and very likely a nice try to the upside somewhere around our more shallow fibs in this case. Somewhere around the 382 is completely fair game. That would be about $41,500 to $42,000. Of course, there is going to be invalidation conditions with this, but for right now, we are starting to build up 4-hour bullish divergence on the 4-hour RSI. I'd like to see maybe one more drive here. So it could be that we do get maybe one more slight move to the downside, somewhere in the mid 38th perhaps. But ultimately, I would be looking for a bounce from there before further potential continuation. And like I said, bounce targets can very easily come up into the mid 41s to perhaps even 42,000 bucks. Also, kind of lining that up with our momentum oscillators from a stochastic perspective. We do see over here on the daily, really not going to take too much to flip this one back onto the upside. Again, this would very likely be a corrective move. So corrective within the context of our current trend is, well, bounce into likely another lower high. But in this case, any sort of a closure on the daily, that is on the daily above 39,700, and we will flip that back onto the upside. You can also see that this has come down to the same levels that we have been coming down to in the past few months here, January and again in February for these, for these nice bounces. Let's actually highlight this out. I'm going to highlight this one right here and this one right here, and we can just go back to this really quick. This one over here, a corrective bounce. Obviously, this was not like, a major reversal. This one over here, again, another kind of corrective bounce, not a major reversal, but, a pretty damn good move right there. So ultimately, I am looking for, generally a bounce before further continuation to the downside, if that's going to happen. If we go over here to the 12-hour, I imagine that this one is also kind of flipping around the same region, and yes, indeed it is. 39,600 going to be the magical number. The 6-hour also going to be showing upside from about the same region at about 39.5. It's kind of building on top of each other right now, and you can start to see that the pivots are basically in the mid 39s. 4 hours actually going to be showing about 40,000 bucks. 3-hour is going to be showing I imagine something around there as well, 39.6, and hourly is going to be showing probably in the shallow 40s. Actually, no, it's up above 39.8. So what does that likely align with? Maybe a bit of sideways today to open up the day, and then around the time that U.S. market opens up, or around sometime early in the trading day for U.S. market open, or around U.S. market open is what I'm trying to say. Bitcoin probably does bounce here, but again, bounce not the same thing as, of course, a reversal. Reversal talk on the higher term timeframes is completely banned, as Mr. Night King said earlier in the Discord yesterday. Bless you, sir. Also, now you're just getting rude with it. Is banned until Bitcoin's back above minimum 42. Even that's not going to be good enough for me. $44,000, kind of my major daily closing basis for a potential, or in my opinion, a confirmed bear trap with big targets up, like humongous targets up towards the deep 50s. Actually, until that happens, that's all hopium and unlikely to happen, I suppose you could say. Anyways, and also the 4-hour Joule actually giving a nice little low signal right there for the short term. So all of that kind of plays with each other. And then yes, we do have our funny rates over here, getting our first negative print on the daily read since basically the first day of the month, which was a very, very small read. And to put this into perspective, we haven't really seen these sort of low negative reads since like late January, when Bitcoin was put in that first spike to the downside way back on over here. If we could just go back to it for a second, I'm talking about this area right here, actually. Late January. So, likely going to see a bit of sideways and probably a bounce, probably over the next 36 to 48 hours, if I had to guess. Anyways, with that in mind, and also I did mince one thing as well over here on the Gaussian channel. We did hit the bottom side of it on the 5-day. Now, I'm going to really differ than a lot of other people on the Gaussian channel. in general, but in this case, probably going to bounce here first and foremost, and then if we're going to see continuation, probably happens in like the next after this next closure in the next 5 to 10 days, if we're going to be looking at something like that. Anyways, now let's go over here to the 5-day. The 5-day on CME, I think, is really is quite telling. It just actually closed a 5-day yesterday night at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and if we do throw on our major moving averages and our drawing tools, you'll notice that closed on the lows, usually not a good sign. Again, can very easily bounce on this next 5-day period here, maybe even up to 10 days. But ultimately, as long as Bitcoin's below, in this case, in this scenario right here, the 42.5 region on a 5-day closing basis, it's very, 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 very likely continuation over the next period or two from there. So again, short term, more likely to trade a bit more sideways and bounce. Bounce can come up very easily, even to $42,000, but that does not do anything for the higher term timeframes. As far as this goes, we are seeing a couple of rather concerning things. We are seeing incredibly low BBWP over here on the 5-day for CME, and this one is starting to expand. I don't think it's necessarily there just yet, but we have seen these low reads a few times in the history, all of them resulting in humongous moves. And so I think that we're kind of on the cusp of that. And again, if that moves comes to the upside and we do see a validation above $44,000 on a daily closing basis, I would be looking for a move towards $56,000, maybe even $65,000 in the next like month and a half or so. But to the downside, I do think is a little more likely for right now. Obviously, we already did confirm weekly hidden bearish divergence, which we identified coming into the closure of last week on both CME and spot price action. And so I do put the weight on this for direction. Now, we've already hit sort of the easy target for this one. If we're going to see continuation from this, it's probably not going to happen until around like end of month, right? So with all of that in mind, let's see how deep into the video are we here. About 6:30. Yeah, we should now go a little bit more deeper into it. Okay, so the other reasons why I do suspect that there's more there's more than likely more continuation to the downside, or perhaps it's better to say that I wouldn't be looking for a major, in this case, potentially even macro low until this condition at minimum is met. And it once again comes back to the global open interest over here, of which, if we do see, or whenever we do see the global open interest get above 13.5 billion plus a local high confirmed for the past few years, anytime that we've seen that sort of a setup, it's led to at minimum a 20% pullback or correction, if you want to call it that, and and in some cases even 50%. Obviously, we've already played out about 20% from high to low in this case. But the reason why I'm calling this out right here is because after that event has happened, we typically see a reset, or we've always seen a reset on open interest. And that reset level, where essentially things can kind of, once again, I guess in this case, put in a major low, comes in at minimum just above 10 billion, actually. 10 billion, as you can see right here from our last few lows in January and February, and again in March, just below 10 billion in this case. Now, of course, we do naturally expect that to get that level to rise up over time. The reason being because, this market is maturing, obviously, and as a maturing market goes, more people getting involved, just naturally there's going to be more, leverage on the board, right? We expect that. And we've seen that, even going from last summer in May, these lows over here at about 5.5 billion compared to our lows, of course, earlier this year in 2022. At about 10 billion. I mean, that's increased by a significant factor, obviously. Now, again, I would be looking for a correction down there on open interest as that sort of unravels, likely alongside price action as well. It doesn't necessarily imply that it must go down, because we've kind of already hit the easier targets for that. Maybe a little bit more down, somewhere around about like low 38, but ultimately, it's not until we really start to break below about 30, what was it, 38 or 37, I think, where I look for that next major continuation drive. Yeah, about 38, actually. 38 would be rather damning for looking for continuation drives back down to $34,000 to $35,000 would be sort of my next setup in that case. Until then, we should also identify that the leverage ratio between, of course, leverage and, well, spot positions has never been higher. So this market continues to do what this market does best, which is be over leveraged as fuck. And fair enough, man. So with all of that in mind, I do want to once again bring back this chart over here. I think that this chart is really, really important because of what it is not done just yet, which is the 5-day chart. Most importantly, with respect respect to BBWP, measuring volatility. We still have yet to see the expansion off of this very, very low level right here. All of the expansions from around this level have led towards about 45% moves to the upside or the downside. And in this case, while Bitcoin does spend a lot of time down here, it would actually be very reasonable and logical to say that the expansion from this current region is probably going to be on the upper end of that, probably north of 50% to be quite fair. And to put this in perspective, you know, again, if we haven't seen the expansion from this region just yet, then we cannot, or at least I cannot, you can do whatever you want, obviously, I cannot extrapolate the targets that would be relevant from that region just yet. Now, if we were to take it exactly from this region, assuming that we're going to get the next spike to the upside on the BBWP, meaning that it starts to expand, then, you know, 56,000 bucks to the upside would be kind of relevant in this case, and 24 to 25,000 bucks to the downside would be relevant. Obviously, one of the reasons why I am more so leaning into more long-term tries to the downside would be the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator. The reason being because anytime that we have seen that expansive phase of BBWP volatility alongside a direction chosen on the 5-day stochastic momentum, that has gotten the right move essentially. Now we can obviously backtest right here. I've done this a million times, so I don't want to bore you with this, but basically the average move is about 45% over the course of just above 40 days. In this case right now, we're going to see 5-day stochastic momentum turn to the downside with any sort of a closure on the next 5-day below $43,000. $43,000 is decently above even the short-term like hopium corrective targets at around like $41,500 to $42,000, which I'm not even too married to that idea getting hit, to be quite frank with you. So as long as Bitcoin is below there, risk does remain to the downside, over time. It's not going to happen all in one day, let alone like one fucking closure right here. In fact, I think at best, I think at worst, we're probably trading sideways and maybe test a little bit more to the downside overall. But yes, you know, if Bitcoin does break below 38,000 bucks, I would be looking for the next sort of, nice little short-term melt towards about 34 to 35 and likely another try for a bit of a bounce right there on the higher term timeframes. So yes, I think that's a good place to kind of leave off on this analysis. As always, find this content valuable, or if you just want to, support the channel in a nice costless way, consider liking the video, as that is the easiest way to do that. So there we go. And hopefully that was helpful. Nice. All right. Got that recording in. Let's see what we're doing over here. It's a nice and quiet day, it looks like. Let me bring up this. Okay, we got that. I don't think I went over the bear trap conditions well enough, but, well, basically above 44,000 bucks. Good, you know. Anyways, I think we kind of got it. Anyways, let me just reference the comments over here. We'll get into this soon enough here. I'm going to take a few more sips of this. I see Rapture is first, however. Nina says, how are those rocks doing on your side of the bed? Look, this is what's happening in our household right now. Elsa is scouring the internet for new bags to buy, because you know what she's going to be doing? She's immediately, as soon as she gets that fucking bag in her hand, she's going to go outside to the beach and she's going to be like, oh, it looks like we have a nice little rock here to throw around this apartment again and just piss the shit out of Krown. Perfect. This one's nice and sharp. It's like, that is literally what she does. They're all over the place. It's like, where do you even find these goddamn things? This is disgusting. It's really, 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 really annoying.
Okay, but tell that bed thing. Like,
tell them the bed thing?
Like, because I'm taller, I need more space.
How dare you? Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, Elsa is actually taller than me because she's an Amazonian and I'm a little hobbit. And she claims that she needs 80% of the bed. I've told her, however, you are a woman, so that means that you do not get 80% of the bed. You get butt kiss. Anyways, terrible joke to be having on the internet. Look, I'm not. Look, it's just a bad attempt at humor. That's all that it is. It could be. I mean, who knows? Anyways, Mr. Rapture wants to look at C98. Think there's a breakout starting. It would be very helpful to identify a time frame alongside that. See what this thing is. Oh, it's a fucking crypto. Of course it is. On Binance. Is this a breakout starting? Like, what? Sir, this thing's never broken out. What time frame, man? Maybe for on an hourly, yeah, I'd imagine it probably is. Then again, this would be a really good place for another lower high. At the same time, if I go over here to a daily, is this a breakout? I mean, you got your first potential high or low, but there is, in my opinion, there's nothing to be spoken about as a breakout until you're back above at minimum 190. At that point, yeah, I think that you're probably going to see a nice explosive move towards 2.25 to 230. But no, man, this is a piece of shit chart. No offense, absolutely god awful, man. It's only ever gone down in one of the biggest parabolic blow-off markets for the general crypto sphere. This thing literally just sets in lower highs along the way. Very reminiscent of 2017 shitcoins after the 2018 explosion. Really bad right here long term. This thing's never known what an uptrend is, ever. There is zero reason for me to be front running a potential reversal right here. The only thing that this thing might potentially have going for it is that it does have a higher low right here. If you do trade back above about 185, 190, you do have a reversal and there will be major targets a lot higher. Until then, would I call this a breakout? Fuck no. Maybe if on an hourly, like I said, even on an hourly, well, yeah, hourly probably does try a little bit higher here, so fair enough. I just don't know what time frame you're talking about, so perhaps we're talking past each other. But other than that, I don't have anything. Don't have anything that you probably want to hear me say. Yeah, I'm never gonna like a chart like this, man. Never. The only other sort of redeeming quality for the short term, and you can't even really make that argument anymore because it's already played off this region, is that you retested around your macro lows for an asset that hasn't even been around for a year. So that's not helpful. Anyways, hopefully that was in some way helpful. I mean, I can identify where I'd call a reversal. Especially if you see Bitcoin above like 44, this thing probably does go for a nice move, but as will most things. But oh shit, and I forgot Sinegra. God damn it, Sinegra. All right, Sinegra. Let's go look at Dixie really quick. Fuck, and this was going to play into the analysis, and I even made a note of it too, and I didn't even get it right. Dixie's in a really good place here for a short-term pullback. Long-term, the technical term for this is bullish as fuck, as far as I'm concerned. If we go here to a quarterly, look, you're getting your first higher low, you're getting multiple drives of hidden bullish evidence, you're seeing volatility has never been lower for this long ever, and I'm literally looking for this to probably go up towards 108 to 111 in the next 3 to 5 years, if I had to guess. Maybe even more than that. That's long term, obviously. Short term, though, short term's good. Short term, probably putting in a bit of a local top right here, to be fair. As we do see, daily RSI is going to be having some sort of bearish divergence forming right here on the next local high confirmed, which would be had with any sort of move below about 99.80 or so. Very short-term timeframes, which we shouldn't even talk. Look, whenever people bring up timeframes less than a daily on this asset, it's bullshit. At least in my opinion, I don't think that you can trade like that, or I'd be very interested to see how you do trade like that. Other than that, I'm basically looking for a decent pullback somewhere in this range right here. It's actually going to be a little bit higher in this case, between about 100 spot 8 and kind of where you're at right now. And I think it probably comes sooner rather than later. So that likely does align with a short-term sideways and likely bounce reprieve for Bitcoin itself. But understand that this is higher lows the whole way, especially as long as you're above like 97. This thing's very long-term bullish as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, man. And shit, I really should have put that in the video. That would have been nice. Let's also go check out Tether dominance, actually, while we're here on this sort of a topic. Tether dominance, I think, is doing something relatively similar. No, actually, I think Tether dominance put in a high right here, in fact. So probably likely to trade down. Again, another thing that kind of does suggest that Bitcoin trades a bit more sideways here. Probably sets up for a bit of a bounce overall, as we should naturally have. Or do we have? Yeah, we will have hidden bearish evidence between these last couple highs right here, and this potential high right here, confirmed below about 440 or so. So not bad. Alrighty, Parta Cool Wave. I haven't seen your name before, so welcome and good to meet you, sir or ma'am. Sir, please, Astro Daily Monthly. Gotcha. Astro, okay. Astroport. This is going to be good. Definitely not even a daily to really be looking at, nor a monthly, sir. Maybe Gate.io. What the fuck is this shit, man? This is terrible. The fuck is this? Absolute garbage. No, this one's been banned from the moon, and I mean, here's your moon. Yeah, you're bullish as fuck. You're trending towards new highs, man. This is certainly the worst chart that we've seen for today. I don't know if it's this chart or, hold on, let me see the price. 990. versus this chart right here. This is Astroport versus Astro Swap. I'm yes, they're actually different assets. Same ticker though. Both of them are the other one on what the fuck was it? Gate.io is terrible, absolutely god awful. This one right here, there's no daily or monthly to really be looking at. I do think, however, that this is certainly a much better chart than the last one. Probably does try up towards upper $3, 360 to maybe even 380 or so, but way too new here to be looking certainly at a monthly, let alone a goddamn daily at this point. So I don't think that that's very helpful, man. But if you could maybe clarify which ticker that you're looking at, that would be helpful. Trask Bergson says, thank you from Oregon. Hey, Oregon Coast, Astoria. I know exactly where that is, man. I went to college at University of Oregon, Eugene. Very, very cool, man. Mamba for Life says, GRT, please, 4-hour and daily. Sure, man. Let's see, GRT. This is another one that we haven't pulled up in months. It has to be. Looking good for a daily bounce here. Drives a bullish divergence come off the low right now. Bit of a corrective move, likely in order. See, oh, sorry, that's a 4-hour. Apologies, not the highest of time frames, but hey, good enough for short term. Daily can trade up to 39.5 to 40 cents. But I would be looking for pullbacks from that region. I guess the one sort of potential redeeming quality is that you would have a higher low in here, but I'm not calling any sort of major reversal here until you're at minimum back above about 48 cents on a daily closing basis. At that point, big targets to the upside, very likely to follow into the 60s, maybe 70s. But for right now, it's another chart that's just basically gone down. Its biggest redeeming quality is that it's at its all-time lows on a macro basis, basically. So you typically do get a pity bounce around there. But yeah, short term, I do think that you probably carry on with the bounce a little bit more sideways and up. Very, very likely. And then, hey, if it can close back above, what was it, like 40, 45, 46 cents, I guess I would call a reversal on the higher term timeframes. Did I do Rapture? Yeah, I did do Rapture, yeah. Mr. Matador MC, I see you over there, sir. I see you. Let's see. Mr. SK says, good morning, Sippy Sip. Good morning indeed. Whoa, okay. Jack. Oh, there he is. Jack, what's up, man? Jack, yeah, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum's always fun to do. Let's go here, maybe to, let's see, you probably want, yeah, you want to look at a 4 on daily. I want to look at, did I do Astoria? Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's definitely do a video on this one. I'm just trying to catch my bearings on this and so we can flow with on this one. Maybe we bring this over here for a bit more of a bias on direction. Where are we on the 5-day? 5-day is going to turn down below 3,000. That's not good. Weekly 24, so not a humongously concerning feature just yet. Daily 12 hours should all be turning up. So yeah, we're probably looking at bouncies. Okay, cool. All right, let's go over here to a daily. Was this relevant for a daily? Should we just do a completely new chart? Yeah, why not? Alrighty. Here we have Ethereum versus the dollar. We'll do a general overview on this one as it does put in a nice little low right here on the daily. And I do suspect that we are going to see a little bit of short-term sideways and up from this region based off of the short-term timeframes like the 4-hour, printing some regular bullish divergence. Now, again, when I do say sideways and up, this could very easily come down and make maybe a slightly lower low, but still within range. That could be as low as about 2,900 or so. So let me just mark this off. Or sorry, whoops, wrong. Where's my, oh, Jesus, man, there it is. Found it. 2,900 or so is kind of where I'd be looking for at most. But ultimately, I do suspect that you are looking for a corrective bounce here. We do see that BBWP is starting to cool off. It's actually cooling off quite a fair bit. So you have seen probably a good amount of that bounce, to be fair. Again, alongside bullish evidence, 4-hour Joule is not following along though. So that is suggesting that probably not going to be the move that you're necessarily looking for. That combined with our stochastic momentum likely does align with a corrective move right here. 12-hour turns up or remains with up, I guess, or actually no, twisting up for the first time in a while above about 30.14. Daily will also follow above about 3,100, so a little bit further away. 6-hour is going to be showing upside above about 29.84, and 4-hour is going to be showing upside above about basically kind of where you are actually about 3,000 or so. So ultimately I would be looking for a bit more sideways here. Probably does try a little bit of upside. So where would the likely corrective targets come in around if this one is going to play them out alongside a likely a Bitcoin? Okay, that seems a little bit too high. I'm going to go all the way down here. Let's take it from the actual meltdown. In this case, I suppose I could be looking at about just above 3,100, about 3,124 or so. I do feel like that's a little bit of hopium in the short term, to be fair. But then after that, I do look at this from a range resolution perspective, meaning that any sort of a closure above about 31.24 or 31.25, actually, I do look for a move a bit higher towards 32. Again, that doesn't really do too much for me. The one that does a lot for me, where I'd actually call this not just a reversal, but very likely a big bear trap, probably alongside Bitcoin above about 44,000 bucks as well, would be at the 618 bearish tracement right here, which is 3260 or so. Any sort of daily closure above there, yeah, I would call this one a bear trap. We can start to talk about big targets up towards big targets up towards 39 to 4,000 bucks. I think that's a lot less likely. I think that's a lot of hopium right there. And to be fair, as long as you are especially below about 31.25, risk certainly does remain lower. Of which, where would those targets essentially be on this chart? Well, let's go over here, and I suppose the next area of interest to the downside would be somewhere down around this 2,800 to 2,750 pocket. Let me just highlight that one off. I would be looking for bounces there. Again, it's more likely to bounce after a bit of short-term sideways here first. But if you do fail below about 2,900 in the interim, I would be looking for that next target to be met. Very likely a short-term bounce yet again there, and then I'd want to come back and reassess. We can sort of visualize a bit of a trend line coming in around here. Although I'm not a humongous fan of these sort of diagonally infused trend lines, but generally speaking, probably a good bounce area nonetheless. Anyways, as far as that goes, I don't really have too much else to add on to it. If we do want to go to like the very high-term time frames, like a 5-day and a weekly, I would feel quite confident calling downside continuation to the mid 2000s, maybe later, probably not later this month, but early May, if you will. If you do see a closure on the next 5-day, which is closing certainly not tonight, but I believe Friday. Yeah, I believe Friday. Any sort of a closure below about 3,000 will do it for me, and it's very likely setting the tone for the next few weeks to come, with targets down most likely around 25 to 2,600 or so. Until then, I guess the hopium again is that you flip back around here, trade back above that very specific region at basically 3260 on a daily closing basis. At that point, I do call a reversal bear trap with big targets to the upside. But until then, that's kind of all hopium. And do be aware that the 5-day will also turn, 5 days stochastic momentum, I should say, will also turn down below about 3,000 if you do close there on Friday. And it'll also be kind of a trend line regression rejection here, right alongside the bullish control zone, which is like not a bullish thing, obviously. And the DMI is already printing, red here, as long as this one's below about 3,600. So I would remain cautious with that. If that criteria is met on Friday, I would be looking for lower in the following weeks. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful with Ethereum, and there you go, Mr. Jack. Sweet, man. Let's see. I think we have Carl Hungus. Carl Hungus. I am Hugh Mungus. Hugh Mungus, man. Near USD. Okay. Near USD, I'm currently long on the last dip, very specific, 1596. Can you look at the 30-minute and hourly, looking to see if it can challenge its April 22? Okay, this is actually a really specific question. So let's see if we can help out in this regard, or at least give some color on it. Okay, so near is just a very interesting chart in general, because it's doing something completely different to the majority of this market, which is like it's good. It's good. Now, last time we looked at it earlier this week, I did suggest that it was likely to go lower. I'm still kind of that opinion. Now, I'm not actually bearish on this chart. I do think it's likely to correct down around here. But I do think that that would just be a higher low, and probably does lead up for another try to the upside. Very reminiscent of Luna, actually. Anyways, so you're very short-term time frames here. You're on the hourly and the 30-minute. Yeah, I think you're going to try some upside actually from here. Short-term, you're in at 15.9. Okay, yeah, you're looking fine, man. But you're looking at 1978. No, I think at best to the upside here, you'd probably do something around like $18. I think that's best case scenario, probably more like 17.5 to 18-ish region. That's where I'd be looking at right here. And then I do think that you probably put in your next lower high there and then trade down. Here is where I'd actually really be interested in this thing, but it doesn't sound like you're on the higher term time frame, so it doesn't really matter to you, I guess. But something like this is kind of what I'd be looking for. Short term, another try to the upside, but then likely does pull back, in my opinion. If we go back to the 30-minute, oh, sorry, that was a 30-minute. Let's go to the hourly. Yeah, I do think that you're going to try up from here, but I do think that your targets are like pretty damn lofty from where we're at right now. I would be looking more around the 17.5 region first. That'd be a really good place for a rejection. If price action does start to close above this blue box though, then yeah, I suppose you'll get your targets met somewhere around the low 19s. Okay, you're 1980. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that, but I would be looking around like upper 18s, low 19s, basically, if that were to be happening. But when you're on lower term timeframes like this, it's very difficult, at least in the way that I look at things, to call like a fucking, you're basically looking at an 18% move. You're calling an 18% move, or even more because you're in from lower, based off of a 30-minute or an hourly. I like when I'm testing my strategies for a 30-minute or an hourly, they're usually around like probably less than the 1% mark, if anything. So that to me seems like a bit of a stretch. Like if you're looking for a move like that, you probably want to be trading like the medium or especially the higher term timeframes in this case. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful. I do think generally though it's okay, but I mean this chart in general is actually one of the better ones, obviously. Yeah, I do suspect that you probably have one more higher low try somewhere around like 13.5 to 14 bucks. Just personal opinion here. Long term though, good. I mean, this is pretty good long term. I would not be surprised at all to see this one make new highs maybe around end of this month or early May. It's actually one of the only charts that I really feel that way too. So interesting there. All right, cool. Let's plot back down over here. Did we get GMT? No, we did not get GMT from Mr. SK. Check out this one right now, and you're looking at an hourly and a 4 hour. Got it. Okay, yeah, really interesting chart. This one just went straight to the upside. But if we're only on a 4 hour or an hourly, you can see that it's very obviously a range right now, right? So you're looking at something like this, short term. And I do suspect that you probably give another short term try to the upside, maybe back around about 240 or so. On the 4 hour. On the hourly, I do think short term you're actually going to test around your current lows at 215 first, so somewhere right around here, something like this, and then probably bounce from there. You'll know that the bounce has more to it if you trade back above this current high at about 2.25 or so. At that point, I would be looking for that move up towards 238 to 240ish region. I don't have any opinion on it daily here, but I should highlight this. Because this is a really, really new chart. So I really don't trust things all that much for it. If you do start to break your current lows, by closing below it, like that 210 region, even on an hourly, I would be looking for a full move down towards $2 base first before anything else. And this completely gets, thrown out the wayside. Probably like that to trade alongside Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin does, carry out its own sideways and in bouncy bounce conditions, then you probably do see that happen. Other than that, big risk below about $2. Do be aware that if it does start to break below there, this thing's coming down probably hard towards 170, which is kind of a big move for a $2 number here. So yeah, man. Adam Kellane says, hey man, all good. After setting up for a short or gamma squeeze by Thursday, if price stays over $5 on options closing, hold on. Oh, ATR. Sorry, I thought it was like after that happened. Like, wait, what? This makes no sense. But it's just me not being able to read it properly. Anyways, okay. So let's see. ATR setting up for a short or gamma squeeze by Thursday if price stays over $5 based on options closing early this week. What is there? Oh, there's a holiday, right? Because it's Easter. So yeah, Friday's off. So expiration's Thursday, basically. I mean, I do think that you're generally trading up here. What exactly is the question? Set up for a short squeeze again. If it stays over $5 by closure on Thursday, I mean, I generally think that you're going to try more upside here, probably around like 585. I wouldn't the short squeeze already happening is the problem, man. You see major divergences. I'm sure. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 drives, volatility up. I think that you're probably going to test around $7.5 to $8. That'd be a really good place for another lower high. I mean, if your basic question is like, if the weekly closes where do you look for continuation? I would say above about 575 to 580, and I'd be looking for a big leg up after that. Here's a real chart, by the way, towards like $7.75 to $8 or so. Maybe even more from there, but that would be like the next area that I'd be looking for. Other than that, I mean, I generally think that you're going to trade up here. Daily looks like it wants to give a try towards upper 5s, low 6s. Terrible long term, but I do think that you got some upside here short term. Anyways, let's see. I just read that RIP Scott Barney comment again. Okay, cool. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Ahmed, Mr. Alathari says AVAX 4 hour and daily. What? Who? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, AVAX. Yeah, we can record this one as well. I haven't done one on AVAX for a while, and this one's always popular. Okay, let's see. All right, my lifeline's going to work on this one. Maybe, but we can just do a new chart here. It's going to make more sense anyways. All right, let me kind of get my bearings here first. Yeah, I do think that we're going to be playing out a macro range at best. Yeah, 5-day sideways and bouncy. Monthly, not really a monthly to look at, but if we do, it's not great. So we'll just avoid it for now. Other than that, yeah, let's start off over here. Alrighty. Here we have Avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. This one looks to be in one major range. I think that we identified this either as last week or earlier this week when we last looked at it. But basically, high side of the range is about 97, basically $98. As long as you're below there, no talks of any sort of major macro bullishness with targets up towards, you know, in this case, basically your prior highs at like 125 to 130. If that does happen, yes, I would be looking for those targets to be met. But until then, I think a best case scenario is what you're doing right now is you're putting in a slew of higher lows right here, and you're budgeting yourself into a bullish reaccumulation formation. That gets completely nullified, completely fucking nullified, and has major downside risk. Specifically below your last low, which is 68.5 on a, could we use a daily in this case? Yeah, could definitely use a daily in this case. Which would have targets back down towards your prior wick lows at about $50 and maybe even more downside after a bit of a bounce right there. But that sort of be the bullish look on this. Obviously, we went over the bearish one as well. Until then, you're just in one massive, one massive consolidation range. If we go over the daily here, I do think that you are probably looking at a bit of a short-term bounce in the interim, kind of already underway, as you can see. If we go down maybe to the 4-hour, it'll make a bit more sense. Yeah, 4-hour does have some drives of bullish efforts come off the low. Again, we're seeing corrective signals or likely corrective signals based off of 4-hour BBWP. Very, very short term, very likely to trade back up towards 78 and 3/4 or so. So it doesn't really do too much for the overall range resolutions. In this case, I would call a range resolution with targets up towards probably mid 80s, like 83 to 85 or so. If you do start to see hourly closures of about 80.25, very specifically 80.25. Until then, a bit of sideways, bit of a bounce likely in order, and that'd be sort of the next range resolution that I'd be looking for. If we go over here and reference stochastic momentum, let's see what it likely says. 5 days turning down below $90. So again, this is at best going to be trading sideways and consolidating for a while. At worst, this one breaks below those lows that we spoke about, and you can anticipate much lower prices. Daily, looking for a bounce here. 77.70 is the magical number for stochastic momentum turn to the upside. 12 hours showing 73.70, so this is boding kind of well for a short-term bounce. 6 hours 74, and 4 hours going to be showing upside above about 76. So what does that likely align with again? Short-term sideways, probably try to the upside. If it does trade above about 80.25, I would be looking for the next move up towards 80, basically like 83 to 85 or so. Other than that, I refrain from calling like a major bullish breakout until you're back above $98 for the long term, and I refrain from calling a major blowout breakdown as long as you're above about 68.5 on a daily as well. Until then, I think that the hopium is still somewhat alive here, but just be aware that below 68.5, the hopium turns to complete doomium, and I do look for moves down to like $50 or so. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for AVAX, sir. Kevin fucking one, what's up, man? Can you check out Chevron? Oh, CVX, I'm glad that you specified as Chevron, not convex token. Yeah, we have a real stock here. Yeah, nice little rejection right there at the high side of the range. Let's see what the weekly looks like. So this one obviously is going to play onto the sort of oil and gas news with the current geopolitical situation going on. So in these sort of situations, I like to play things a lot more safe. In my case, I just don't play them at all. I like to avoid this sort of a thing. But if I did have to call it, I actually do think that you're putting in a bit of a local high right here, to be fair. The reason why I say that is because on the 5-day, it looks like you do have a couple of rejections at the top side of your range, and then also we're about to see 5-day BBWP contract. So if we were to be looking for a breakout, we'd be expecting to see BBWP continuing to expand. We see quite literally the opposite. So I'm more inclined to say that you probably do trade a bit more sideways here, and then probably try some downside. Actually, downside maybe as far down as like 155 to 154 or so. Then again, I look at the daily, and the daily actually is in a breakout posturing. So I would call a breakout to new highs in this case above 173 and a quarter. You actually do have a setup here on a daily. Obviously, a higher term time frame does supersede a lower term time frame respectively, but daily does have a good setup. A couple drives of hidden bullish divergence, very low volatility expanding off the lows. Daily Jewel has had an upside signal for the last 4 days, supported by DMI. I would say that you're going to be looking at major continuation above about 173 and what was it, 172 or 173? 173 and a half. At that point, you do resolve an ascending triangle to the upside. Lows are like 160, highs are like 170. So you're probably looking at like 190s, maybe even probably just guns for $200 from there, to be quite frank. Monthly, how we looking like right here? Again, hitting extremes on monthly BBWP really does make me think that if this one does get one more drive of continuation, I do think that it'll very likely top out around there. Monthly RSI, at some point you're probably going to see a reconnect towards the moving average there. So I'm more so like it might have one more drive validated above that 173 and a half region, but I do think that you're going to be looking at highs relatively soon if you're on the higher term timeframes. And your question is one correction. So I feel very comfortable calling a correction if you do trade below that 161 region first. Until then, you actually do have more short-term upside continuation signals, and then the higher term timeframes, probably take over after that. So could make it to like 190 to 200 first. BK says near USD. Yep, we got that one, but we can do a general overview on this one because that was not the question that we addressed earlier. Maybe we can even record on this one too. Yeah, why not, man? Why not? Okay. Here we have NEAR versus the dollar. I think this is NEAR protocol. What stands about this chart is that it's actually probably one of the best charts we've seen today in the cryptocurrency landscape. Now, I do suspect that it probably still has one more correction before trying for maybe even new highs, actually. The reason why I'm basing that off of is essentially you kind of retesting around your current all-time highs. And while this one is wedging itself into a good formation here, probably gets one more try short term to the upside based off the hidden bullish evidence right here and the relatively low BBWP. I would not be calling any sort of resolution and new highs, or at least retesting your prior all-time highs, until you're closing dailies, specifically back above about 770 in this case. Until that happens, I do think that you're going to be trading a bit more sideways here, probably test another move to the upside, but ultimately I would be looking for a corrective move first before a try towards new highs, and that could come anywhere between the 382 and the 0.5 right here, which is about 1480. Right, I mean, you have actually kind of already tested that region, to be fair. The next one would be just below $14. So if you do see a rejection anywhere within this region and then it trades below 15.5, I would be looking for that correction first, just below $14 before another try to the upside. Something like this is what it would probably look like, I guess a little bit higher. As those alarm lines aren't perfect here, obviously. Short term, like I said, I do suspect that you're going to get another try to the upside short term. 17.5 to maybe even 17 3/4. If you start to close dailies above there, then I guess I do just call continuation of prior all-time highs and maybe new highs from there. Weekly, yeah, long-term pretty good here. Definitely among the best charts that we've seen today. We can go check out stochastic momentum as well and see where this one's pivoted at. 4 hour remains with upside above 16 and basically 1644 daily. Is actually down below 1814. So yeah, I'm looking at this as likely to correct after another short-term move to the upside, to be quite frank with you. 5 days vertical above 1060, weekly vertical above 1060 as well. So long-term good, short-term good, medium-term probably does pull back after another try to the upside. I would remain with long-term bullishness on this one, very specifically as long as it's above about 12 and a half long-term. Maybe even 12 3/4 basically, but quite good. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. Crypto. Whoa. Gold. Yeah. Okay. Gold. Yeah. Let's look at gold. We haven't looked at gold in a while. The fucking slow shit gold. Like, man, you have to have patience to trade this one. We were bullish on it last time we looked at it. I'd still be bullish on it, and I still am. I'm still bullish on this, actually, quite bullish on this, but this thing can take a long fucking time to resolve itself. I do suspect that you're going to test around your north of $2,000 highs. Weekly right here, obviously, is reapproaching the top side of the range. We can maybe even go down to a daily. I mean, this is good, man. Like I'm very bullish on this above 1900. I've called this one quite well in the past couple of months here too, but I don't have the fucking patience to look at this thing, to be honest with you. Yeah, I generally think that you're going to see well above $2,000. I mean, this is a cup and handle if I ever saw one. Jesus Christ. So you do have a technical target based off of that. We can measure it out like this, or I guess I've already done it. Let's see where we point it up towards. Okay, that's very, very deep. Who knows how long this... Okay, let me just make sure this is correct, because that does not look correct to me. No, that is not correct. I'd be looking somewhere more around like 26 to 2,800 or so, I think would be more relevant. And how long can that take to play? Who knows with this fucking thing, man. This thing could easily take like another couple of years. I don't really have any opinion on timing, but I do have an opinion on price action, which is I am bullish towards those targets as long as you're specifically above 1900 on any sort of a higher term time frame closing basis. Short term daily probably gets another try up towards 1990. That's all that I'm essentially looking at right there. Mr. On Hell says, "Hey Krown, hope you've been doing good. I've been doing all right, man. Could check out just one man. We could look at. I think maybe GameStop's probably gonna be more interesting to most people here. Yes, I'm literally doing Angel right now. Listen, sir. Stop farting around. Please, if you don't mind me asking for 2. I know. Don't judge me. Good volatility. No, man. We do have to keep it to 1. Just be fair to everyone. Yeah, GameStop still a piece of shit, but did have its nice little move to the upside right there. This would be a great place for another lower high. I mean, look, like, I still stick with what I've been saying for a long time. I mean, we hit our first targets below $100. I said it was probably going to take like 1.5 to 2 years. It's been like 1.5 years now. I do still think that we're gonna. I think this one's coming down below $50 over a long enough time frame. And this is fucking garbage. It has no business trading up here ever. Very, very likely, in my opinion, to come down to like 40 to $50, and maybe even lower than that over time too. But I wouldn't get too ahead of myself here. So if we go down to a daily, which I think you were asking about, maybe. No, you did not give any time frames actually. Can trade a bit more sideways here, but I'm looking at this as your next major high actually, especially as long as you're below 175. Very specifically, I will be invalidated on that and massively wrong, and people can laugh in front of my face too. If you do start to trade above about, what was it, 170 or 175 on a daily closing basis, I would actually be looking for big moves up towards 230, maybe even 250. Maybe even turns out to be bullish above there, but I suspect that that's more hoping than not. Hidden bearish evidence on the weekly RSI, that is technically already confirmed, but I would really like to see a closure below 135 before that gets big targets back down below $100, namely about $90 again. But short term, a bit more sideways, probably trades down towards 135, tries for a bounce there. Other than that, hit extremes here on daily BBWP. I'm looking for this one to trade sideways, maybe put in one more bounce. If any sort of a failure below 170, and I am looking much lower over the following months. Yeah, I mean, this thing is silly. What about quarterly? Yeah, I mean, it's actually like not a bad setup on the quarterly, but I do suspect that this one does come down. Let's check out his brother. I know you didn't ask for this one. But here you asked for 2, so I'll give you 2. Yeah, AMC is doing what I think GameStop will eventually do. Something like this. It's going to keel back on over. This one's already below my $20 target, so I think that you're going to see another $15 move, or move to $15, and then probably another bounce there. I think best case scenario is you hold those $14 to $15 lows and put another anemic rally like later this year, but hopium, man. I do think that's mostly hopium, to be fair. Let's see what else we got. Some G is only a scream name. No, man, my fantasy has been destroyed. Some G, man. I thought that we had like some sort of a cool samurai in the community here. Turns out it's just an internet name. God damn it, man. Rune. Yeah, we can look at Rune. Some G. Someone has to have that name. I've seen a Wen Moon, WEN. Anyways, Rune, full hour. Okay, just 4 hour. Okay, let me just get off this time frame right here. Short term, I do think that you try back up towards 8.25, maybe 8.30. 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish evidence come off this low. If you do start to close 4 hour dildos back above about 8.25, I'd extend those targets towards 8.75. Other than that, yeah, I mean, you didn't really spend any other time frames, so perhaps I shouldn't even bother. Yeah, I do think that you're kind of generally setting up for a bit of a sideways bounce here. Let's see. I think I just missed someone right there. Lucas Secord. No time frames. Oh, I see. Okay, he's posted a message right there. FTM 4 hour and monthly. Like what kind of strategy employs a 4 hour and monthly? I don't know if there's much of a monthly to look at on this one. I guess it has more history than what I would have get. Actually, it goes back to 2018. I had no idea. Interesting. Look, you've already played out the bearish divergence move here on the monthly, so I can't call like major continuation to the downside just yet. I can tell you where I'd call major continuation to the downside, very specifically below 97.5 cents on a daily closing basis. I'd look for humongous moves down at that point to half a buck. Until then, I think, generally the same thing as most other things in this market. A little bit of sideways here, a little bit of a bounce. 125 is fair game. Full hour probably has the same sort of bullish divergences for me, and it does. Again, corrective move likely in order. 120 to 1.25 is fair game. If you do start to close 4 hour dildos above 1.25, I'd extend targets towards 128 to 129 region. Other than that, no real strong opinions on this chart. It is in a downtrend now. I mean, you do see one massive descending triangle kind of forming here, but that can take a long time to play out. And I suspect that you probably fill it out a little bit more if it is gonna be the thing to play to begin with. Cool. And to be fair, where would I turn bullish on this one? I'd turn pretty damn bullish above about 165, that last swing high right here. That would look really, really good. And for right now, you do have a bit of a higher low in there. So there's the hopium, I guess. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Let's see, scroll back here and we got that one. Crypto King is looking at UPI. Okay. Coinbase is now the most pristine shitcoin exchange. No opinion on this chart. Whatever it is, it looks silly and garbage. So this is basically the history that we do have. Hourly chart. Sorry, let me get off this time frame. It's definitely relatively weak compared to most things in this market. If Bitcoin shows any weakness, I would expect this one to come back down towards below 6 cents, somewhere around like 5.8. Other than that, I really don't have a strong opinion on this chart because it's ugly is what it is, but it's ugly is what it is. Is it more likely to bounce here or not? It's neutral as fuck to me. The higher term time frames, I would feel a lot more confident on. I'd feel a lot more confident calling a move back down towards like 575 to 580 or so. Other than that, if you're on an hourly, I really don't have a strong opinion, so I should probably just say a healthy amount of I don't know is the right answer in this case. Yeah, man, I know that's not too helpful, but this is just a bizarre looking chart. It's like it's not a good indication when you see a chart like this in general, but if you're on an hourly, doesn't mean that I can't play out another move back up towards like 6.5 cents or maybe even 7 cents. Things get really, really crazy, but I really don't have a strong opinion or a good opinion on this chart in my unfortunately. Otis says NOIA. Okay, NOIA. All right, the new one. Synthropy. Okay. And we have another one of these. Doesn't trade at all and only goes down. Holy fuck, man. Dear Lord. It puts the lotion in the bucket or it gets the buzzer again. At full volume, too. What about the poop? A terrible chart. God-awful chart. This would be a great place for another lower high here, too. On the daily, weekly. I mean, if the rest of the market's going to bounce, this one's going to bounce too. It really doesn't trade too much, so I don't trust charts like this to really analyze. It'd be more prudent to be looking at like a Bitcoin move here. So if Bitcoin moves to the upside, you see that bounce to like 41.5 or 42. You probably find this one at like 709, whatever the fuck that number is. Okay, there's got to be. Oh, this is versus goddamn Ethereum. Hold on, it's got to be something better. Tether maybe. Okay. Oh, we have another shitty chart. That's great. Ugly, man. Fucking ugly. Now, I guess you can give it the benefit of the doubt for right now, as long as you're above very specifically 17.9 cents. Below 17.9 cents, I look for further corrections down to 16.5 and probably, another short-term bounce there. But generally speaking, I'd be looking lower after that bounce towards like 12 cents or so. Your last base from like February. In this case, full hour. I think you also asked about full hour. Short term probably test down. Honestly, I do think it's going to break down here, but I can't call it yet until you do start to, at minimum, close a full hour below 17.9. Until then, where would I look for a continuation? Like, where's the hopium? Hopium is with any sort of a trade back above this this last high that you saw it from a couple days ago on the 11th at just under 21 cents. Above there, I do look for big continuation drives towards 24, maybe even a quarter if that were to happen. But you know, just it's not the worst chart we've seen today, but it's not great. Zach Street says, can you look at Elrond? Hey, thanks, man. Full hour and daily. Yes. ELG. I think it's ELGD. Or is it... What the fuck is Elrond? EGLD. There we go. Elsa knows it. Okay, I know it has more history than this. Maybe Kcoin. Okay, no. Maybe CoinX. There we go. But I know it even has more history than this. This is very strange. Let me just double. Yeah, okay, yeah, that is Elrond. All right, well, whatever. Some of everything else. Actually, having a better bounce in most things right now. I think it could trade back up towards 164 to 165. Full hour. Many drives of bullish evidence, but I do need to, if I am going to call for a continuation, I do need to see a closure above 159.90 or 159.85. And then, yeah, I'd be looking for that continuation towards 164 to 165 and then probably pull back there. Other than that, you know, long term, I'm not a humongous fan of it, but I wouldn't call continuation to the downside until you get a full hour closure below 150. Below 150, I look for this one to fall down pretty significantly towards 140 to 135 region. Weekly, again, not great here. I do generally think that you will test down around like your mid 130s to low 130s in the coming like month or two, but you know, I'll be wrong on that definitely if you do see this one start to close daily dildos back up about 179. That would be the earliest area where I'd start to call for a bit of a reversal, and I'd feel very, very confident calling a major move to the upside actually with any sort of a daily closure above 215. And when I say major move, I mean like 270 to maybe even $300 if that were to happen. But for right now, I mean, this still kind of looks like distribution, to be fair. But, you know, I think really what you're doing is like something like this, boom, and then probably going to be trading sideways for a while, to be honest with you. And then maybe if it's going to tip to the downside, you know, somewhere around like middle to late May, something like that. Cool. Go down. Brian E says, the EMP, por favor. All right, no time frames given, but I will, let's see what it, man, this is definitely a vampire. You can usually tell by the name if it's going to be good or not. And we have another shitcoin that's not good. But is it likely to bounce here or not? That's like the name of the game today. Is it going to bounce or not? I don't know. Weird one, man. I do think, you know, short term is obviously a range going on right now, right? You're looking at 1185 to the upside versus 91 to the downside. I wouldn't call like a failure here until you're trading below this region. And at that point, I look for targets down towards the low sevens. I wouldn't call, you know, a move towards 13.5 to 14 until you're trading above about 1185. Other than that, I really don't have a particular opinion on a chart that looks like this. Long term, I can tell you where to get bullish on it. That'd very specifically be above 19.5 cents. At that point, I look for big moves up, like towards 35, maybe even 50 cents long term. You know, any sort of a closure below 915, and I'm looking for big moves down towards your prior lows. Yeah, again, I really don't have strong opinions on charts that are this new. You know, short term, what are we more likely to do here? Probably trade sideways and maybe give one more try to the upside. Okay. All right, let me scroll back here. Okay, and we're at XMR for Alistrom. All right, let's see. XMR. I remember this one was pretty good last we looked at it, so let's see where it is now. Did it play with the rest of the market or not? No, it did not. And hey, there's relative strength. So again, another one of the better charts, certainly. I would still not call like a major breakout just yet. That would be above 250 with targets up towards like 285 to basically $300. That looked really, really good actually. Weekly. I know you didn't ask about it weekly, but I'm just curious. Yeah, I still can't call like a major reversal here just yet, but above that region, yes. And this is still good on the daily. I think they're going to give another try up there. Full hour. Yeah, I'm actually bullish on this one as long as you're above 215. Below 215, I do look for this one to join the rest of the market and probably trade back down around $200. Maybe we go look at it from here. I'm just curious. But yeah, really, really interesting from narrow. Looks like privacy tokens are having their time in the sun right now. Daily stochastic momentum turns back up above 238, about 4 hour. We had in the 4 hour. 4 hour still corrective. Yeah, I do think you actually are going to trade a bit more sideways and probably test the downside again. But I would refrain from getting bearish on it until you're below 215. Below 215, I do look for this one to go in a deeper correction towards $200. Other than that, it's just difficult here because it's doing something completely different than the rest of the market, really. Kind of like near, but not as obvious in my opinion. This is a weird one. Again, I would feel very comfortable and confident being quite bullish about 250 on a daily closing basis. Until then, I do still think that this one's a bit more in limbo and more likely to trade a bit more sideways here at best. In that range. Mr. Venegas says SHIB 1 and 4 hour and daily, please. If yeah, let's check it out. All right. We need to go to where? Maybe Binance? Maybe Binance. Yeah, you can close them now. Actually, SHIB not bad here. In fact, very interesting to see. Maybe I'm missing something. 5-day. Look, any sort of a 5-day closure on Friday above like 2750, and I'd actually be looking for this one to retest around your February highs. I'm not bearish on this thing, especially as long as you're above 2350. Below 2350, I do look for this one to retest around your January lows. But right now, I actually do think you're going to trade sideways and give another try to the upside. And then if you can close above there on the next 5-day, I'd look at that as quite good. It's weird when you see something like this that's not trading with the rest of the market. 4 hour does say still sideways here, though. You kind of hit your short-term highs most likely. 4 hour BBWP really maxed out right there. So might give like another short-term try towards 2790, but I'd be looking for a shot sideways after that. Maybe even comes back down to 2550. But yeah, very interesting one right there, actually. Very interesting one, in fact. Hey, what's up, Crypto Yellow Vest? Robinhood started to trade. Oh, God. Bean my message. Where's your message? When message? There it is. It's the bags. Do not fucking donate to the bag fund, please. It's like, seriously, it's really not good. If you're on an hourly, oh yeah, you didn't even ask about those timeframes. Yeah, I do think you're gonna give another try to the upside here, probably around like 2780, or sorry, probably somewhere around 2800, maybe just under there. If you do start to close above there, I would be looking for, yeah, if you do start to close above 2800, I would look for extension towards 2890, maybe even 2900. So this is very, very short term. Relevant to your request. Duper says, would like to hear, yeah, dollar yen, yeah, let's, I'd love to look at Forex, man. This is so much more interesting, to be honest. Daily and 4 hour schnoogans. I've been extremely bullish on this for like a year, for like a year and a half. I'm still pretty fucking bullish on it. This one's hit all my targets now though, and now it's going for the macro breakout. It looks like, yeah, man. Wow, man. Tokyo Channel. I wonder if he's still watching, but I don't know if it's, I wouldn't feel confident saying that it's going to go for like a trending breakout exactly from this moment right here. I do think you're quite likely to pull back on the higher term timeframes, maybe back down to like 123 region, you know, in like the next month or so. But long term, I would be looking for a long term continuation play. This is like a macro reversal, like in the proper definition of it. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing trading at 130s, like 130 to 135 in the coming year and a half. Very, very good right there. You're on a 4 hour daily. Sorry, that's not even relevant to you at all. 4 hour higher. Daily, probably another try higher. I do think that you're coming very close to the end of this move, but look at daily BBWP. I want to see that max out or get close to maxing out again, and then back below the moving average. That's what I call the corrective move. And again, I'm still long-term bullish on this thing, but did I say pee-pee? Pee-pee and poo-poo. G says, good day, sir. Please check out Hex USD. Oh, dear Lord. We've done it again. All right, let's see what we got on Hex. I actually haven't looked at it in a while, but I'm going to guess it's doing really, really well. It's doing the same thing as the rest of the market, really. you know, to be fair, I mean, you potentially got a higher low right here, but I'd refrain from calling this one bullish until you're back above 16 and a half cents. At that point, yeah, I do look for moves up to 21 to 23 cents. But other than that, you know, another rejection below like 14 cents, and I'm going to be looking for the other LARP line to play out, which is more likely down to like well in the single digits, I'd say. Not exactly to where that one does show, but in this case right here, you know, short-term timeframes as you requested on an hourly. I don't have an opinion on a chart that looks like this on an hourly. It doesn't trade. I mean, look at this. It's traded in the last 4 hour time frame. It's traded 8,500 times. This is 8,500 times on a 12-cent number. You know, that's nothing. This thing does not trade. You know, basically at all. I mean, that's like what, $1? Like 8,000 times 10 cents. What is that? Like $800? Am I doing this right? That doesn't sound right. It's not much, man. It's not much. Whatever it is, it's not much. So, you know, I can tell you where I get bullish on it. Until then, I look at any sort of, you know, corrective bounce towards 13 or maybe even 14 cents as well. Just that, a corrective bounce before more continuation to the downside. 5-day here. I do think you're more likely to trade a bit more sideways and try for another bounce here. And hey, if the bounce gets back above 16 and a half, I'd actually be looking at this as like a pretty good trap move right there with targets up towards your shallow 20s. Be actually quite good. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful. Cool. Jamie Aguirre says MTRG. All right. Hola, mi amor. Hola, mi amigo. MTRG. What does meter? Okay. What monstrosity am I going to be presented with now? Actually, pretty good. Pretty good on that move. Very good on that move. Probably gives another try up towards 410. And I actually think that you might be having your first reversal here. Wait, do we have more history somewhere? Maybe here? Okay, and I take that back. I do think that you're going to try higher here, but very likely pull back from like maybe 420, maybe even as much as $4.5. At that point, I want to see a higher low. And if that happens, I'd actually be, I guess, bullish on this for another try to the upside. But basically a long way of saying another short-term move to the upside, most likely, very likely a pullback from there, around the $4.5 region, I'd say. Other than that, I don't really have a strong opinion on this thing, man. It trades very bizarrely. Cool. Stack says, fairly new to your channel. Well, welcome, man, and good to meet you, sir, and thank you for that. SCRT, daily and 4 hour. Okay, not familiar with this one. Secret network. What the fuck? All right. Okay, well, it actually has a decent amount of history here and holds its higher lows, so it's not that bad. I can tell you where I'd get very, very bearish on it long term. That'd be below 390 with big targets down towards like 2.25. But for right now, it's actually holding up relatively well. And you might even have a higher low in here, which will be confirmed. I would actually confirm this one is bullish above 560. That is not a call for a move there, but above there, I do call this one, you know, a bullish reversal. Until then, short-term timeframes, I mean, you've kind of already played out the easy targets from this 4 hour bullish divergence on the lows here. So I would say that on a range resolution above about 512, let's call it 513, I'd look for extension short-term to 530 to 535. Until then, you know, again, I get very bearish below basically $4 or 420, great number right there. Until then, it's actually pretty good long-term. I mean, you know, it's been around since 2017. It made new highs in 2021. Most things did not. That's actually a really good sign, and it's held its higher lows. So I refrain from getting bearish as long as you're above that 420 pivot on a high time frame closure. Above like 640, I'd actually be looking for a continuation of prior highs, $10 to $11. Let's see, what are we more likely to do here? Not really getting any obvious signals. The signals that I am getting are suggesting, you know, another try to the upside for what it's worth. And again, I go to the 5-day, but that one's already played out. Yeah, I don't have any other strong opinions on it. But an interesting one, man. Interesting one. Martin Hunt says, morning, sir. What's up, Martin? Can you take a look at XMR? Yep, we got that one. We can look at the Bitcoin pairing. Yeah, because we haven't done that. Let's see what this one's doing. I imagine it's probably doing well. It is doing well, but you know, what's the context here? It's doing well within the context of a downtrend. So do have to be on lower high watch, right? And this would actually be a good place to trade a bit more sideways and perhaps put in a nice local high. Whoops. Oh dear Lord. Almost done goofed. what are we looking at right here? We're almost at extremes on daily BBWP. So I do think that you're coming into like a local high very soon. It might give one more try up towards 6450 ish region, or sorry, 6500 ish region. Maybe one more try there, but I would be looking for a pullback off of that. I'm not going to be bullish on a downtrend. So in this case, minimum needs to trade back above like 9200 before I even consider that there's a reversal in place. Yeah, other than that, not really much else to say, but I do expect you got maybe one more try to the upside, and then probably a little bit of sideways and probably corrects down towards like low 5,000s, somewhere around 51 to 5,200, something like that. Let's see. Jason Cooper says, can you check out XI protocol? A ticker would be very helpful, but let's just type this in and I don't know, see what pops up here. It's not popping up here, man. Let me just try it without any spaces. Yeah, it's not popping up here, man. Need to have a ticker, and if it's not on TradingView, it probably means that it's like way too new, and probably not a good thing to be, or at least if it's way too new, I'm not going to have a relevant opinion on it to begin with, or really an opinion at all, to be fair. So yeah, man, I can't look at that. Again, a ticker would be massively helpful. Oh, there's Tokyo Channel. I see you, man. I see you. Yeah. Well, I guess we already kind of got to dollar yen, but very fucking bullish still, man. Very bullish still. Like, Jesus Christ, man. That is that is a crazy chart. Okay, we got Venegas again. He's looking at OGN 4 and daily. Okay, OGN is origin. 4 hours, same chart as all the other ones, right? Yeah, I just did Martin. Weird one here on the daily. I guess we charted this one out before. I'd have the same thing to say about it on a daily. It's like I would call a reversal with big targets up towards, maybe even almost towards $1 if you can close daily dildos above about 60 cents. Until then, I really don't have an opinion on this chart, man. 4 hour time frame, where we're more likely to bounce again here. Yeah, maybe another short-term continuation towards 50 cents. Doesn't really do much for me. The downtrend starting to emerge. I'm kind of looking for a corrective move here, so I'm inclined to say it probably does trade a bit more up towards 50 cents or so. I'm just not calling any reversals as long as you're below 60. I guess it's like 62 cents actually. On a higher term time frame closure. If we go to a weekly, I think the picture becomes a lot more clear, and I would be looking for more downside actually towards 35 cents. Personal opinion, invalidated above that 60 cent or so region, and not a fan of this chart long term. Okay, cool. AK Makar says FT. Yep, we got FTM, so UOS probably more relevant for in daily. Got it. Okay, so this is Ultra token. Good name, man. Let's see, you're on a daily, I'm guessing, and a 4 hour. Yep, you are. Kind of very similar to AVAX's chart, in fact. Like very, very similar to AVAX's chart. Very, very bullish on a daily above about 142.5. Obviously, the hopium is that you're setting in higher lows here. That will be completely invalidated with big downside targets long term. Then you sort of a daily closure below like 97.5 cents. And at that point, I look for your January lows to get retested at 80. Probably another bounce there. Short term on a 4 hour, we're more likely to bounce more. Yep, I do think you get another try towards like 108, maybe 109 region. If you do start to see a 4 hour closure, if you see a 4 hour or even an hourly closure above 109.5, I would extend those targets towards a $1.12 to a $1.13 on the short term. Other than that, I think that at best you're trading sideways here for a while. At worst, you break below about 97.5 cents and, well, kiss this one goodbye for a while. But yeah, it's okay in the short term. Kind of same thing as most of the other charts, right? Frivolous says, Bitcoin at 29,000. Where is Ray? Hey, much love to you as well. Okay, so this is a hypothetical, right? Where you're saying if Bitcoin were to go to 29,000, which I'm not like, this is the assumption, right? This is the assumption. Where would that likely put Ray at? Well, seeing that as this one's already on pretty much all-time lows, there's no way to really get it, but I'd say significantly lower. This one's extremely relatively weak. So if Bitcoin were to go down another, 30%, you can expect this one is going to go down in a higher beta fashion to that. So probably like 50 to 60% if I had to guess. Other than that, there's no way to generate a target off of this, off of a chart that's only ever gone down and doesn't have that much history, and pretty awful looking for what it's worth here. You know, maybe there's some like more long running, maybe like OKX. That's still a piece of shit right there too. CoinX, still ugly as fuck, man. So again, hypothetically, if Bitcoin were at $29,000, you can expect massively new lows on this one, probably more closer to like $1 than anything else. But I'm really going off of very little here. Jay Header says, good morning, man. ICP 4-hour and daily. Yes, ICP. Okay. On Binance, another chart that only goes down, man. 4-hour and daily. You know, are you going to bounce off this region? Yeah, you're retesting, I guess, your all-time lows here. It's only ever gone down. So, you know, are you looking for a corrected bounce? Probably yes, over the next week or so. 4-hour, it's the exact same chart in the short term as we see elsewhere. Any sort of a 4-hour closure above 1750, and I would extend short-term targets towards 18.5 to maybe even $19. Other than that, long-term extremely bearish as long as you're below 22.5. So corrected bounces can, you know, come up like this, for example, and then probably continuation if Bitcoin shows any weakness. It's just, you know, it's never wise in my experience to call a reversal on a chart that has only literally ever gone down. But you will start to create some bullish divergences on the daily with another move to the downside, to be fair. So yeah. CC says maps on the daily. Okay, MAPS. Let's see. Oh, this is, of course, a crypto. So I type in the USD. Maybe FTX. I don't know which one to go with on this one. On the daily. Well, for example, on the daily, you are starting to print some hidden bullish divergence right here. That'll be confirmed with any sort of a daily closure, especially above $1. And that will have targets up towards 110 to 115 region. Long term, zero real opinion on this chart. Is very, very, it looks like it doesn't trade all that much, and for when it does, it trades more than Hexo, I'll tell you that. Trades at $1 and 100,000 in a day, so better, I guess, respectively. But anyways, short term, I think that you do carry on with the bounce, honestly, like maybe as much as 115. But I would not look for any long term macro continuation in this case to prior all-time highs at like low or around $2 until you start to close daily doldles above about 130. Until then, short term, I think you bounce a little bit more. I would invalidate bounce and call continuation of the downside with any sort of a 4-hour closure below 88.5 with targets down towards like 60 to 70 cents or so. But I think you generally try to the upside there again. All right, we got a last one for the day, Mr. Justin Tomiak. Okay, ENJ on the daily and weekly. Let's see what this one's doing here. Yeah, Engine Coin. Daily and weekly. Okay. Looks like my hopium here did not work out, but we can just make another hopium. That's a problem with diagonal trend lines. There's always another fucking diagonal, so that's why I don't trust them too much. But I think that was just hopium to begin with. Let's go to a weekly maybe. Okay, so I actually do think that the hopium becomes a lot more relevant if you can start to trade back above $2 again. At that point, I do look for moves back up towards $3 plus, $3 to $4 over time. But, understand that is hopium, obviously. In this case, you did have another drive of hidden bearish divergence right there. You've kind of already hit the easy targets to the downside. If you have one more move to the downside of 137 to 140 is where I'd be looking towards. Short term, probably bouncy, as are most things. It could very easily continue on short term to like 160. I wouldn't call any like greater bounce though until you're back above 162 on a daily, not a daily, but a 4-hour closing basis. At that point, I do look for extension towards 170 or so short term. Daily, very, very bearish below like 130. What is this? 131. Very, very bearish below there. Until then, I think that you can still run a little bit with the hopium, but below that 130-ish region, I look for big returns down below $1 actually over time. Hopium is that you hold here, flip back around, spend a few weeks maybe going sideways or something like this. Do like this, and then confirmation above, what was it, like $2? Yeah, $2. And at that point, big moves to the upside, very, very likely. But long term, a very good chart, to be fair. From 2017, holds its higher lows, very constructive, takes its time. That's a good sign. Long term, that is. Cool. All right. I think that's a good place for us to leave off on this lovely little stream here. I want to wish everyone well. Can you see Elsa waving in the background? No, you can't, because she hates you today. But and there's a nope. Further in. Should we adjust? Oh, There it is. Wow, it's amazing. It's a penguin, actually. We met a penguin in Dubai, in fact. Anyways, wishing you well, as always. Been an absolute pleasure on this Wednesday morning over here. Yeah, Wednesday. Been a fun time, and we'll be back on Friday with some more live stream analysis. So with that said, take care and see you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it,